Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a rainy Tuesday here in North Texas. Got some storms coming in later. But that being said, back for another Speak Loud podcast, another on the road episode. You guys are getting top shelf, top tier content out of these drives. I do, as I think a lot of people do, I do a lot of my best thinking when I'm driving. It's usually when there's nothing else pulling at my attention. A lot of times when I drive, I may have a phone call come in or a meeting that I've got to hop on that I'll join and have those conversations. But a lot of times when I'm taking my trips to go visit a client or go do a consult or whatever it may be, I have time and it's just things come to me I think about, or I take a call for a meeting or a consult or a check-in with one of our clients, and something comes from that conversation that just sparks me to just go down that rabbit hole of this is what the issues are, these are what we're going to do, this is how we're going to fix it, or whatever it may be, or advice that I'm giving to that client that is really applicable to not only our business but possibly a lot of y'all's businesses as well. And yesterday I spent a reasonable amount of time on the road, had to drive out to East Texas to work with a consulting client that we were essentially brought in by a third party, which is awesome. We love those relationships. So we didn't have direct communication with this particular client. A third party vendor did, and then they brought us in as a add-on service. They said, this is somebody that you should bring in you're working on doing these things inside your business. This is a company that if you bring them in, they can help implement some of these things we're telling you to implement, but also could help you do it internally if you have the team to do it. So all of that saying, let's fast forward. Let's get right into the nitty-gritty, and kind of what we found in talking with them is a huge issue with focus. And I think focus is such a hot topic for entrepreneurs and business owners that I don't feel like it gets as much attention or enough training or enough discussion, whatever you want to call it. I think a lot of like the buzzwords, obviously like AI, extremely important, hot topic, buzzworthy. Sales. We love talking about sales. You all know that if you've watched any of my podcasts or listened to me ever. Marketing, culture. There's all these different like things that get the majority of the attention and the majority of the topics. And I think focus and really clarity and focus kind of to me go hand in hand. Is that I feel like we all, as entrepreneurs, business owners, I'd say especially the ones that are very type A. I don't think it's always and only type A. I think it's just we experience it more and more frequently and more often. We have a tendency to lose that focus and not really intend to, not to do it intentionally. It just happens. And so I'm going to give you this real example. And I'm going to give you some other examples that I feel like are healthier or a better way to do it or look at it to ensure that you're staying focused. So this particular organization, they were doing everything. They were doing traditional marketing and advertising. They were doing pay-per-click. They were doing Facebook ads. They were doing some of that more traditional stuff. But they were also, they were just shotgun approaching it. They weren't really putting 100% effort into everything that they were doing because it was too much. They were stretched very thin. They had staff members at multiple chambers of commerce. They were going to this meeting and that meeting, and they had 15 networking groups. And I say that not exaggerating. Multiple networking groups that they were a part of. And all of those things, I will say, I think they all can be good. I think that there can be positives to being in all of those things, but I also think that your attention can be stretched so thin and that your focus can be stretched so thin that it is impossible for you to be all in on a handful of things when you are trying to be in on all of the things. And sometimes it is for appearance, like I have to go to this, I have to be a part of this, so-and-so is a part of this, so I need to be a part of this. And in our mind, we go, this is positive movement. We're doing the right thing. We're putting more people in front of more people. We're networking more. But the challenge or the issue becomes of like, there's no measure of how successful is this particular networking or this particular leg of our marketing program. There's no measure of that at all. We just go. We're not measuring relationship. We're not measuring ROI at all. We're not measuring like how many referrals or what are significant referral partners. And then beyond that, you have to look at, was there another way that we could have made those connections? By visiting, that networking, event or thing, or, is there a way that we could have made these relationships without having to tie up a staff member's time weekly, every week to go to this thing? Could it be a quarterly? Could it be a once a month? Could it be? And I understand some of the networking groups, that's not the point of it. The point of it is that you are building relationships, so you need to be there and to show up and to build and cultivate those relationships. I get it. Like, I get the entire focus of and what networking groups are built off of it. And I think they can be a great thing. But when you approach your business with this shotgun approach of like, for all of you that are unaware, unfamiliar what a shotgun approach would be, a shotgun, when it goes off, it is letting out all these, it's like a spray of these individual little pellets, and there is not much depth or distance out of a shotgun shell. The reasonable distance, the shotguns are used for bird hunting and things like that. But that's kind of the point, is like a bird shot that comes out of a shotgun. It doesn't go really far, but it spreads fairly wide. So that way some of your pellets might get that bird and knock it down, kill it, whatever you want to call it. Don't know if we're allowed to say that on a podcast, on YouTube or wherever else, but we just did. But it's not a honed in, like, laser sniper type approach. Like, it is, we're going to spray this thing out there and we're hoping a few things land. And in this case, we don't really know if they're landing or not. We're just going to continue to do that. We have all of our team members just like blasting that direction and blasting that direction. And we don't really know if anything's really landing. Like, here or there, be like, hey, I got this referral, awesome, that's great, but like no real measurable to speak of, at least on a consistent basis. And we get into the motion of doing these things all in our mind going, this is what we should be doing. We should be attending every possible networking event because simple numbers tell me that as if I'm in front of more people, that it's going to work. It's going to be that golden ticket. It's going to be the Willy Wonka chocolate factory experience. Is like there's something there, and we're searching, we're digging, we're reaching for that right thing that is going to just solve all of our problems. And the reality is, and I want to go even beyond that, because those are things in the business, but I think that we can do things, especially I would say earlier on, entrepreneurs, small to medium-sized businesses, they can see all these different things and they all look shiny and they all look like the right thing. So I will use networking groups, I'll use chambers of commerces, I will use nonprofits, I will use anything, anything that you can put, like, and you all are aware of these because we get invited to these things. We get invited to come out, and there's a lot of times that we get invited because they see value and they think like, oh, you would be a good person to be in this room. Sometimes we are invited because we would be valuable to them, not so much them be valuable to us. And I'm not saying that everything has to be transactional. I completely agree, and we are big fans of giving back and doing things where we can. And there have been numerous times to this day that we will do things for organizations that we either do not collect money for, Or we might collect money and then we're giving that money back in terms of a donation or silent auction or whatever it may be. I'm all for those things. I think those things are important, and those are not an ROI type of thing. Those are, I'm doing this because I believe in this organization. But I think you have to find the one or a couple, like at max, where it's not, I'm a member of this, and I'm a member of this, and I'm a member of this, and then I'm going to start this, and then I'm going to start this, and I'm involved in this, and I do this, and I volunteer here, and I do this. Like, before you know it, you will and can network yourself out of business. Volunteer yourself out of business. Because what has to come first, and this is something that we have had to realize as well, what has to come first is the actual business. Like, where are your customers at? Where are your clients at? What circles are they in? What am I doing with my actual marketing and advertising? How am I growing my business, and where is my focus at? And really your core business, not these like adventures or tests or experiments. I think that it has to be like, this is my core business. This is my ideal avatar, my perfect customer. This is what I'm going after, because I think that there's just a focus problem. And we don't see it. It doesn't appear to be a lack of focus. It appears to be, I'm doing things. Like, I am focused. I'm going to these networking things to try to grow my business. But over 30, 60, 90 days, like, looking back, how much new business have you secured from that group? How many referrals have you secured from that group? Or is it just a good time? Do you just like the people? And there's nothing wrong with that in its like raw state. But if your focus, if you're telling me like this particular business was, we are solely focused on taking our business from here to there in this time frame. They had clear, measurable goals. They didn't necessarily have a game plan, because it's easier to say what number you want to do and how much you want to make. And it's easier to say that. It's not as easy to go, but how? And that's essentially what we were there for. But when we started looking at these things, it was like, this is a lack of focus. Like, you're saying one thing, but then you're doing these things. And again, like, in their mind, they were doing the right things. And I think all of us, like, we're not doing it because we know it's the wrong thing, or we know we're distracted or anything like that. Like, we're trying to do all of the right things. And y'all, this is a podcast that's just kind of straight from the hip. Is like, this is how I like to deliver it. I don't really want like fabricated or scripted things to bring to y'all. It's like, I want us to talk through what I think we all go through. And I think that this lack of focus is like, when you wake up in the morning on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Friday, a Saturday, and you are shotgunning some approach. We're like, well, what if, like, there's no methodology to, is this right, or is this wrong, or is this where we should be putting our attention or dollars or staff members' time? It's just, let's go try it. And I think there has to be a better thought out, systematic approach, at least on the back end. Like, I'd say at a minimum, even if you're not going to think about it in the beginning, even if you're going to trust your employees, your sales staff, your leadership, whatever it is, and they're going to say, hey, there's this new networking group that's popping up over in this city, and I want us to have a presence there, so I'm going to kind of pop in and see how it goes. At least on the back end, there should be well, hey, how did it go? How many people are there? What other types of businesses are there? What do we see from a strategic outlook? Are there people there that are our ideal referral partners, or is it just people that might be able to send us people? What relationships can we build out of that room? And if the answer is, well, I'm not really sure, like, there's 2 other people in that room that do the exact same thing that we do, and there's only 8 people in the room, or I've been there for 30 days, I've been there for 60 days, I haven't really had a meaningful connection conversation. It's just kind of been like, hey, they're cool people, they're fun to hang out with, there's this one guy, he's hilarious, all those things are great, from a social standpoint, but not so much from an economical standpoint. And I think that we all have to really hone in and have focus on what is ultimately like going to move the needle. Is like, if we have these goals and we have these aspirations for our business, for ourselves, for our employees, then there has to be a level of like mental focus that goes, it really is like, I want like a if this then this type of scenario is how I feel like we should brain map it or look at it. Like, I'm thinking about doing X, or an employee or a staff member or salesperson, whatever it may be, comes to you and says, I'm thinking about doing this. Maybe it's the marketing guy or the advertising person, or it's your agency like me, like, hey, we're looking at doing, okay, if we're looking at doing that, what is the game plan? What is the 30, 60, kind of 90-day game plan? What is the outlook? What are we measuring? How are we measuring it? And then that will determine, almost on a scale chart, if when we get to 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever like you want to put on there, I would say kill it faster than you let it go, because before you know it, it'll be 6 months and you still haven't checked on it, is if we have not scored this many points, we're going to associate a point value. And we've done this. Like, I can, this is something that I can share with you, is that you go through and you start marking that thing up in terms of like, I had a referral come from this. I had an awesome meeting. They're willing to partner with us in terms of like, we will become their go-to, plumber, HVAC, carpenter, marketing, like whatever. So like for us, for like, again, working with this third party, that's a great relationship for us, because they like what we do. We do something different than what they do. We offer different things that we complement their services. So if anything, if we come in and make their clients even more successful, it means they're likely going to continue to get paid. If not, they're going to make more, because the company's going to grow and expand. They're going to need more of their services or broader reach of their services. And their clients are happy. So it's a win-win for them. They do not do what we do. They have a relationship with us. They've had experience with us. They've had positive feedback from their current clients. So for them to bring us in on other things, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So that thing I could go through, and that point system would score very highly. So for that third party to reach out to us and go, hey, we're putting together a panel and we want you to be on that panel, and it's going to require some of your time, or we're putting together this group and we would like for you to be involved in that group. Is that different than them, just simply referring business over, things like that? Yes. So it needs to be measured differently, but what's going to be taken into account is that relationship. Is like, they do checkbox, send us these referrals, they do recommend us, they have sent us X, Y, or Z, we have made, this much money from working with them. So like, it's going to check those boxes. But if I were to look at, say, like a chamber of commerce or a networking group, or I'm going to start this type of group and it's going to be awesome, if I can't go through and check that same point system and associate some type of value of like, after 30 days, we should be at this point, after 60 days, we should be at this point, after 90 days, we should be at this point. And if we are not, then that is where we're going to kill it, because it is clearly not bearing the fruit that we would like for it to bear. And your time, Mr. Salesperson, Mr. Marketer, Mr. Business Owner, should be bearing this fruit over that period of time. And that's, again, based on your goals. Like, if we have a goal to go from this number to that number, well, then over the course of this 30 days, this 30 days, this 30 days, now we're a quarter in, it should be hitting these check marks. It should be hitting these strides, these milestones. And if it is not, then we have a problem. We are not going to reach our goal. So I would encourage you to associate a checks and balances in everything that you do. Is the organizations that you are involved in, for-profit, non-profit, volunteer, whatever it may be. And here's the thing. I'm going to say this with, say that with a grain of salt, because I 100% believe that there are organizations that you're going to be involved with that are not a ROI machine. And I align with that. We have them that we are involved with, that they are not going to write us a check. Now, they could be a referral source for us. People could see the work that we do for them, because we're a little different in that sense. And someone could go, that's awesome, who did that work for you? Or they want to support us because we're supporting them. Sure. it's a couple. It's not 5. It's not 20. It's definitely not 30. It's a very small number that we directly align with and that pull at our heartstrings, that we want to be involved and we want to be able to use what we know how to do to help them. I think that is perfectly acceptable. I would encourage you to do so. It is edifying. It reminds you that not everything has to be ROI, but what we're talking about today specifically, are you saying we need to grow the business? We need to improve our ROI. We need more clients. We need more referral partners. That is how we are going to go from point A to point B in the time frame that we have put it in. Is we're talking specifically about those things. You're going to have to associate a tape measure, measuring stick, thermometer, whatever terminology you want to use, you're going to have to associate something to it. So that way you ensure that not only your time, but your staff members' times, your leadership's time, it is being used effectively. We all only have so many hours in a day. There's only so many days in a week. There's only so many work days in a week. For those of us that are, top of that food chain or the owners, then we all know that just doesn't turn off, which is how I like it. I like staying busy. It sure beats the hell out of the opposite, right? But I truly believe that in all areas of business, you have to have something that you're measuring. You have to be able to know, like if you've ever watched Shark Tank before, they will eat the folks alive that don't know their numbers. They don't know what they pay for the thing. They don't know what they sell the thing for. They don't know the numbers in between. They don't know the shipping costs. They don't know what their current ROI number is. They don't know what cost of goods even are. They just don't know their numbers. And then some of them know. Some of them, they don't know all of them. It's the same thing, like in terms of your time, your energy, your focus, is where are you associating that time and energy and focus? And this could go deeper into like the Dan Martell principle of like buying back your time. I've talked about that before, is being effective just overall with your time. But I truly feel and believe that a huge percentage of business owners and entrepreneurs are struggling and deal with this lack of focus. And again, we don't see it that way. It's a mental cloud that we have. We see it as I'm trying, I'm testing things, I'm doing things. And I believe that to a degree. But if you do not have the measuring stick, if you are not evaluating, is this working? Is this not working? How effectively is this working? Is this worth our time and our energy and our focus? Because if it's not, then we need to be doing something else. And the faster that you find those things out, the quicker that you can pivot and move to something else that may work better. I am all for testing new things. I mean, like you guys, if you've watched me at all, we are a marketing and advertising agency. There is a science to what we do, but in any science experiment, there are variables. There are things that you have to test and see what the reaction is going to be and find out if this concoction works better than that concoction and this combination works better than that combination. There's a constant evolution of that, of testing things. And those things change as algorithms change, as buying behaviors change. Those things change and shift also. So it continually requires pivoting and changing and testing. But I can apply this to us. If we're not testing and evaluating, then we're just testing. Like we're just shotgun approaching. We're just trying things for the sake of trying things versus us going, we swapped this copy out or this creative out and we tried this new thing and we tried this new platform and here's what we found out. We got our opt-ins increased, our cost per sale decreased, our exposure decreased, but it's a better return. We're getting more opt-ins because it's the right audience. Like if we're not evaluating those things, then there's no possible way for us to be effective. So I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to close this thing out pretty quick. I'm going to encourage you to do those things. Is that your energy and your focus and your time are the most valuable assets that you have. If you have employees, then the same thing applies. You are paying these people to be effective with their time. You're paying for them to drive more sales. And It's great to try these things. It's great to be involved. It's great to volunteer. I firmly believe in all of those things. I think they're incredible, and I would encourage more people to do those things. I would encourage people to look beyond the ROI in certain circumstances, but it's when you have the time to do so. If your business is suffering, if you are not making the money that you need to make, at the end of the day, and we've said this before in our business, we could not do the things in our community that we want to do if our business is not successful. If our business fails, if we're not making enough money to pay our bills or to get by, how in the world could we have impact in our community? We couldn't. And at the end of the day, the success that we help bring our clients, that would go away. So we're failing ourselves, we're failing our clients, and then ultimately, like, we're not able to do the things in the community that we would want to do anyways. So your business has to come first. And what is your core focus of your business? What is the thing that brings you customers and referrals? What is that? What's the actual focus in your business? I told you I was going to give you some good examples. And I'm going to use us because it's the easiest thing I can use. Is recently this year, typically every year we get to about October, November, we look back. It's a review. What did we do this last year in terms of obviously numbers? We're watching those things all the time, but we do more of a review. But then we're looking at gaps. Like, is there a customer base that we're missing? That we could serve? Is there a product or service that has been asked about or that we need to better the services that we're offering our clients? Is there software that we should be implementing that would make either our lives easier or more efficient or better tracking, whatever that may be? This particular year, we layered in 2 new programs that we're rolling out this year. One of them is in the process. One of them is also already going. And it was 2 different gaps that we had. One of them was 5 Mile Famous. And it is our kind of entry-level agency services. We knew there was a gap that we had customer base that hadn't quite reached the point of being able to pay for like full-blown agency services, but they needed something. And it was something more than like our training. We launched our academy last year. That was our thing last year. We launched our academy for people to be able to go in, find a community. They could watch our video trainings on Meta ads, Google ads, SEO, utilizing AI, content creation, video scripts. I mean, they can watch these trainings and learn how to go do it themselves, because they were, and this is not a shot at anybody, but they were the lowest tier. They certainly did not have the money to hire us or really like spend anything at all in terms of marketing and advertising. But a lot of the things that we're teaching them, they can go do on their own for free outside of like their time. They would have to be focused and go focus on those things and do them. But we identified a tier that was between the academy and full-blown agency services. Not every business can just go, yeah, I've got $3,000 to $5,000 a month that I'm allocating towards marketing and advertising, and I want you guys to handle it all for us. Not that every client is that high or that low. We have clients that are higher, we have clients that are lower. But we were like, we need a service that is the new billboard, that is digital, that can still get them an incredible amount of impressions and eyeballs on their business and what they do. But it is not an extreme amount of work for our team. It is very cut and dry what it is and what it does and how it works. And we rolled that out. The other side is what I'm kind of talking about with this particular client that we dealt with yesterday. It was our consulting and coaching side. Is like, we knew that there was a gap of like, they're the higher tier clientele. They have a team of people. They're doing typically multi-millions in revenue, sometimes tens, sometimes higher. And they just need direction. They have the team to execute. They have the knowledge to execute. They just maybe don't have the expertise in marketing or advertising, or in being creative with creative, in shooting video or whatever it may be. They just need direction. They want to scale. It goes beyond their marketing and advertising. They need to do recruiting. They need to create better culture. They need to focus. Sometimes it's that simple. But we wanted to offer a service that we could do that. Whether it was we drive out, we spend all day or multi-days with them, or they're not local, they don't want us to fly out, but they want to do Zoom. They want to hop on with us, do an initial consultation, have us write up a blueprint, and then meet in with their team, check-ins, monthly, quarterly, whatever it may be. Those took a certain amount of time and a certain amount of focus from me and from our team to develop, to research, to implement, and to put into practice. That was a great use of our time and our energy and our focus, because it directly tied into ultimately what we're trying to do, which is grow our business. It tied into, we're going to be reaching a new audience of people. And you think about the progression of our clients, like they can go from academy to where we're not making really any money at all off of the academy. We make very little, but in terms of like measurable, it's a very small percentage of our revenue. But they graduate. They go through that program, they start implementing those things, they see an increase in sales, they see an increase in this or that, and then they go, what's the next step? Like, I need to get some of my time back. I've learned these things, so I know how to do them, but I don't need to be spending all of my time like running meta ads. Speak Loud. I'm gonna reach out to them. We're gonna look at 5 Mile Famous. We're gonna roll that campaign out so that way I get some of my time back from having to launch that thing, manage it, and optimize it. They're just gonna handle that, and I'm just gonna reap the benefits of it. That thing works. They check that box. They've done that for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and they go, hey, we want to now do Google ads, or we need to work on SEO, or we want videos shot, we want better creative. They go, okay, how do we do that? Well, you move from 5 Mile Famous to now like you're a full-blown client of ours, and we're handling maybe multiple things for you. Then what happens? They graduate. They go to the next phase of like, we're maybe still handling their agency services, but they go, hey, we've grown, we've scaled over the last 3 to 5 years. We're doing $3.5 million. We were doing $1.5 million, and now we're at 3.5, and we don't really know. We don't have a clear picture. Maybe they've been stuck at 3.5 for 2 years, and they're like, we want to go to that $5 million mark or higher. We don't know how to get there. We don't know how to recruit the right staff. We don't know how to train the right staff. We don't know what our culture is. We need a game plan, a blueprint to get to there. Can you come in and do a one-off thing with us? We want to hire you to come in for 2 full days, where first day you're going to deep dive into where we are and what we've done to get here, and then we're going to roll out like, hey, here's kind of this blueprint of how to execute, whether it's recruiting, better marketing, advertising, a systemized process of rolling out a CRM, like whatever those things may be. Every single one of them is very different. But we introduced those things, and it took us a reasonable amount of time, several months, not solely focused on that, but to do it right. We obviously have to, like, our clients come first, so we have to execute their things first and take care of those things first, and manage those relationships and make sure those things are being successful while we work on this thing. A couple hours here, a couple hours there, but again, it was focus. It was something we had to kind of put our heads down. We had to find the time to do, but it had to be in its place. I'm a huge fan of blocking out time on my calendar. I would add a 1 hour block here. It doesn't always mean it happens at that time. It may mean that a meeting came in from a client, and again, that had to take precedence. So then I had to move that block maybe lower in the day or to the next day, but it didn't go away. It just shifted. It went to a new spot. So the entire purpose of this podcast, again, is just focus. If you are in business right now and you are making any type of money, but especially if you're in your business full time, you've already done something that is significant. You have already created something that is incredible. You've already done something that not everyone can do. You've chosen the harder path. But what you can't do is start scrambling. Is that you can't start just shotgun approach at everything you do with zero measurables in place. Is it okay to try new things? Is it okay to go to a new networking group and check it out? Is it okay to join a new organization and see how that goes? Yes, it's completely fine. But if you are not measuring the return on your time, again, we're only looking at that. We're not talking about necessarily volunteering and things like that. We are, in the sense that I don't think you can do it all. You have to be focused. Like, if your business, if that is the key thing, again, ultimately the success of your business dictates how much impact you can have. whether it's on your community from hiring them, it's from your community giving back, it's taking care of your family, it's taking care of other people's families. Your business is what drives all of that. So if everything else is taking precedent over that, your business is going to suffer because you're not focused on the thing that actually drives that machine. So I want to encourage you, and I'm encouraging myself, as I always do, that the thing that matters most is that machine. Because if that machine does not exist, you can't do all the other things that you're wanting to do. You cannot have the impact that you're wanting to have at all. So focus on the things that matter first. And here's like the hack or the strategy or whatever to use on the way out is you need a point system. You need some type of measuring tool to go, is this thing proving beneficial? Is this thing causing us to go from point A to point B? Are we getting referrals? Do we have more business? Can we directly relate that business or that referral back to this networking group or organization that we jumped in? And if I have 30 days, 60 days, 90 days of data that tells me that that thing is true, then fantastic. Keep doing that thing. If anything, double down on that thing. Maybe join more of them. But if you're looking at 30, 60, 90, you're like, yeah, well, the people are really awesome. And we got that one phone call. But you have a staff member spending an hour a week, 4 hours a month, 12, 15 hours over the last quarter that is being invested into that thing. What if that time was spent somewhere else where you were measuring and it proved fruitful? And it was actually checking those boxes, actually generating ROI, actually generating referral partners. That's the difference. So I hope you all have a fantastic week. I've gotten to my next appointment. I've got to get inside here. But I want to encourage you again, just check your focus. Are you focused on the right things? Are you approaching this with a shotgun approach? Are you approaching this with a sniper approach? Do you have that thermometer or measuring tape? If you don't, you need to implement it. If you're interested and want to know what ours looks like, you can feel free to comment in the video. I'm happy to I'll upload it somewhere and send you the link to it. But it's just a way to, again, go through and associate a value to it and then check back in on that thing to ensure it's doing what you're hoping it will do. So hope this was helpful. Hope you guys have a great week. We will see you on the next one.